Was it a dumb move? Was it maybe that's the wrong terminology, but I think it was a bad move on Kevin Harvick's part. Do I think Kyle Busch is on the right track? He knows where he needs to be, Wesley, right now for this final deal. He knows what he has to do. Do I think he can get it done? Honestly, it's a 50-50 shot. I think he has as good a chance to get it done as anybody else. Do I think that Dale Earnhardt Jr. has an opportunity to do it? Again, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been under pressure before, Wesley. He's been in this situation before when it comes down to the final countdown here, when it comes down to the countdown to the green, to the final run at Homestead. Dale Jr. knows what it's like to be under the gun, under the pressure. All the way back in the days with Tony Eury and his dad as crew chief and everything. They know what it's like to be under pressure. Does Dale Earnhardt Jr. have an opportunity and a chance? I think they do have a chance and opportunity here, but don't underestimate Hendrick Motorsports right now at this time, Wesley.
No, and of course, don't forget Team Hendrick. You just mentioned him, Jimmy Johnson, five-time NASCAR Sprint Cup champion, and the Lowe's home improvement driver, the 48 Chevrolet. He's going to be setting a milestone this weekend, making his 500th career start in the AAA 400 at Dover. So, of course, that's another quick statistic to throw out there. And, of course, his teammate and good friend, the guy that basically, recognized and, protéged Johnson into NASCAR realm, Jeff Gordon, who's in his final year of racing in the 24 drive in Hunger Chevrolet. He celebrated his 800th start last weekend at New Hampshire, and he passed another milestone, passing the Iron Man of Ricky Rudd and how many races that Ricky Rudd had for consecutive starts. So, again, Hendrick Motorsports, never count them out. Never count them out. But I'm telling you, right now, the team that everybody's got their eyeball on is Joe Gibbs Racing. Joe Gibbs Racing, and you got guys like Denny Hamlin, you got Matt Kenseth. Hey, by the way, those two guys, they're in the chase. Hamlin won Chicagoland in a controversial finish. Hamlin won Chicagoland. Denny Hamlin won that race. After Harvick ran out of fuel with 2 laps to go at New Hampshire last Sunday, well, guess who came out smelling like a red rose? It was Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth stayed out of trouble. He came in and made that fuel stop. He had about a 20 laps of advantage on fuel than Harvick did, and he came back and won the event. Both of the Harvick cars, Hamlin and Kenseth, are in they're in the next round of the championship run. They can go out there and race and sit and ride. Are they going to do that? No. Look at Hamlin last week. A lot of people don't know this. Hamlin had a basketball injury before the Richmond race. He got injured playing basketball, hurt his leg. A lot of people were like, well, he's done. He's going to be hurt. He won Chicagoland. And last week, he actually had a good run and, was in the hunt to win at Dover. So, look at today. He had a second-place finish in the Xfinity Series race. I was talking about New Hampshire last week. Today at Dover in the Xfinity race, he had a second-place finish. Denny Hamlin, just as he's injured or not, he's looking good. Joe Gibbs Racing has figured something out with this new development package that NASCAR put back at July. And since then, they figured out this aero package. They figured out this new setup. They're the drivers you got to watch. I believe it's Joe Gibbs Racing for the championship. Who's it going to be? We don't know.
Well, one thing about Joe Gibbs Racing, now, Wesley, with a lot of folks here is if you follow Joe Gibbs Racing over the years, when it always comes down to the chase here and it comes down to the final, 10 right here, they're a team that you never, ever want to underestimate or never shuffle them to the back because they have found ways. Like you say, they have Matt Kenseth. Back when the days when Mike Kalanoff was spotter for Matt Kenseth here, Mike used to make comments about, well, Matt's my hero. Matt knows what to do in a crunch situation. So again, I got to agree with you 100%. Don't count out the Joe Gibbs Racing teams because they have been doing their homework. They have been watching the other teams. They know they're not going to go out there and do a copycat. They're going to go out there with their own game plan. They're going to come out there in the next few races here, and you watch. I have to agree that the Joe Gibbs Racing program could be a dominant factor right now in this final countdown all the way to Homestead here. Never count them out. The points lead is not that. It's not anything that's impossible right now you've got a lot of top contender drivers out here that are all shooting for that pot of gold. But I think it's going to come down to this, Wesley. I think it's going to come down to a strategy that a team puts together. They have got to put together a Super Bowl game plan right now from Dover on if they want to be a contender for the gold.
Well, and for those drivers that you're mentioning, the two drivers that really don't have to worry is Denny Hamlin and Matt Kenseth. Thus, this far, they go to the next round. They go to the contender round. Kyle Busch is a top star with Gibbs Racing. You know, again, we talked about it. He got injured at Daytona in the Xfinity Series race. He was going to be out for 6 months. He came back after 2 or 3 months, and he's been incredible. He won 4 races. He got it done. And by the way, let me throw something out here as well. And maybe a lot of people didn't know this. He had to not only win a NASCAR Sprint Cup event, he won 4. And he rallied back in the rally of the final races to make it inside the top 30 in the points, because that's what NASCAR told him. They said, look, if you want to be in the chase, this is what you got to do. These are your obligations. You got to at least win the race, and you have to be top 30 in the point standings. Because if you remember, G-Man, he was way, like he was dead last. So you got to give Kyle Busch, whether you like him or not, he's a hell of a driver. You got to give him the credit. He's done what he needs to do. Now he's put himself in a slump. Can Kyle Busch win at Dover? Absolutely. He's done it before. It just remains to be seen what happens tomorrow. And with the pressure on, what's going to come out of that? That's the story. That's what's really happened with this whole deal. And another thing is the weather. Let me throw some out. 400 laps is the distance at Dover for the AAA 400. If they are fighting the weather like the Xfinity Series and the K&N Series had to do today, which, mind you, the forecast looks better tomorrow than it did today. There was like it was like 100% on Friday, now it's dropped to 30%. Now, a 30% shower can mean anything can happen at any given moment. You know, it could be, and you and I know how it is, G-Man. It could be clear as day, 5 miles down the road, it's falling a flood. Same thing could happen at Dover tomorrow. So with that said, they're fighting the weather, they're fighting the elements, they're fighting they're fighting each other to try to make it into the chase. But in addition to that, what if the race gets called at halfway? What if the race gets called short? That can happen if they complete halfway, G-Man.
Well, there's so many things that at the Monster Mile that also play a factor here, Wesley, when it comes to a 400-mile race. Dover is a very hard, tough racetrack to drive. A concrete surface here. Set up on a cars is so much different here. But fighting 400 miles at Dover International Speedway, the Monster Mile, it can be just as grueling as fighting a 600-lap, Coca-Cola event at the Charlotte Motor Speedway here. High banks, fast racetrack, quick setup changes on you here constantly with the track surface here. Fuel is an issue here. There's so many factors involved with the Dover International Speedway here. It's a very demanding racetrack, a very grueling racetrack. And again, you go in there with rain delays, pressure knowing that you've got to be in this, you got 4 drivers here that got to make something happen here. And the possibility here that the race could be rain delayed, could be shortened, or it could be like today's race. It could start off on a green, turn into red. It could go up and down, caution flag. It could be a very, very long and demanding day. Now, team strategy, fuel, yes, we got to look at fuel. We got to look at the restarts here. There's so many things we need to look at here. These 4 drivers need to be on their A game from the time they wake up in the morning until the drop of the checkered flag here. There can be no mistakes. There's no room for error at whatsoever here. The game plan has to be brought out, and they have to give it everything they possibly got, because after tomorrow, Wesley, you could say goodbye to 3 of those drivers or all 4.
Yeah, just they go out of 3 or 4. And again, if one of those drivers can somehow make it in, and again, by a crapshoot, Earnhardt Jr. has to win to go to the next round. He has to have a good point stake. I think the scenarios, the way they were pointed out, was Harvick's got to win. If any of those drivers win, you win and you're in. That's the bottom line. That was always given point blank. Same thing as the first 26 races of the point series win. From Daytona on to Richmond. If you win the race, you're automatically locked in the chase. Oh, and I didn't even know it. So, bottom line, you do that, and you're there. But for those four drivers of Harvick, Busch, and I mean Kyle Busch, and of course Junior and McMurray, they've got to win. But if they don't, they at least got to. I think they got to be in the top five. They got to have a top five run, because if not, they're done. They're finished. Not saying they're finished for the year, because they can still race, but their chance of championship are said and done. They're over. And let's talk about this before we end this subject, 'cause I know we want to talk about the penalties and Stewart retirement and the restarts. Oh my goodness, that's been the biggest talk in NASCAR, has been the restarts and the penalties this week alone. But Earnhardt, and I've said this before about the Denny Hamlin team as well. This could be the year for Denny Hamlin to win the championship, G-Man. I think in years past, they had the ingredients, they had the cake batter, they had the icing, but they were missing the sugar. And they just couldn't put it together at the end of the season to culminate that with the championship. I think this year Hamlin could do it. I think Hamlin could be a contender. Matt Kenseth, he's not won a championship, I think it's since 1997. He won the championship in 97, the driver out of Cambridge, Wisconsin. So, and again, two drivers, Joe Gibbs drivers. Dale Earnhardt Jr., I'm going to go out on a limb here, and if I make people mad in Junior Nation, I hate to do it, but I don't think Junior's going to make it. I really don't. I think that they've got so much talent, and Dale Jr.'s such a great driver, but G-Man, they just don't have it together. That's what I was talking about, that ingredient, that key ingredient success. They just have put themselves in this slump, and even Jamie McMurray too. If I would say anybody could go to the next round, it would be Harvick and Kyle Busch. I just don't see Junior or McMurray making it after Sunday. I hate to say that. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see it. I just don't think Junior Motorsports have got it together, so to speak, to put out a championship caliber program.
I agree, because for so many years, Wesley, Junior Motorsports here, and, the chemistry that Dale Jr. has had, with Hendrick Motorsports here and all the things that he has done, there's never... I don't know what it is, Wesley. I don't know how to really explain it, except other than to say that the chemistry, that what it takes to put a championship caliber team together, there is a key ingredient missing. There really is. Like you say, you got a cake, you need the frosting, you need the batter, you need this, you need that. Are we a couple of eggs short of the batter? Are we using the wrong kind of sugar? What are we doing wrong here? Like you say, I like that. I want to use that again. I like the cake batter deal. But again, it's the winning ingredients here. All these other teams out here, and nothing taken away. You cannot take anything away from Dale Jr. because he can drive a race car. He knows how to drive a race car. Personal opinion, I think sometimes under pressure, Junior can be intimidated. Instead of being the intimidator, I think he can be intimidated.
Yeah.
And I see this happening as a repetitive situation over and over again, to where and he actually displays it. And this is something that, again, for all you Junior Nation fans out there, not taking anything away from Dale Jr., because he is in his own rights an awesome driver. He's an awesome individual. A great marketing tool. He's a great marketing person. He's great for the sport of NASCAR. Will he ever be like his dad? No. Straight out, no.
No.
A lot of race fans had originally said, well, he's going to be just like his dad. No, nobody will ever be like Dale Sr. Nobody. But will Dale Jr. succeed in racing? I honestly think, Wesley, that he has already reached a level to where I think that ladder can't go any higher for Junior. And I only say that because of the chemistry. I really think that if he had... Now, if people say, well, he's with Hendrick Motorsports, he's got the best of the best. No, he don't. Because to have the best of the best, you have to have a unique program set aside from everybody else. You have to be able to gel with your crew chief, your car chief. You have to be able to gel with your team owners. You have to be able to gel with your entire team. Are there good ingredients in Junior Motorsports in the Xfinity deals? Yes. Are they compared to the Cup deal? Not even close. I look back in the days when Junior drove with the AC Delco deal. Okay, you look at the driving that they had. You look at the driving force and what it took. Back when Steve Park had the AC Delco deal,